All right. Roger, good to see you again, man.
Good to see you. How you going?
I'm good. I'm good. And welcome also to our listeners to the Common Ground podcast. Now, Common Ground, it's
Mm.
all about giving you a bite-sized overview of a topic, whether it's what's happening in the media and sports, entertainment, technology, so that you can have a better conversation about this and ideally find common ground a little bit quicker. And today, Roger, we're jumping into a topic that you're super passionate about, which is road cycling and specifically professional
hmm
road cycling. So I'm really excited to learn more about this because I don't know much about it. So, Roger, give us an overview of what professional road cycling actually is.
So, road cycling is a long distance race on a bike, surprisingly, and the goal is to have the shortest time. Now, these races can be one day, multiple days, or even several weeks. There's also multiple different disciplines in these races. So there are sprints, which is the fastest in a short period of time, climbs. There's also time trials, which are very, very dedicated, kind of trying to go as fast as you possibly can. In this sport, there are also in the team, there are leaders who are the ones who are essentially being pushed to win the ultimate race. And in that team, there's also domestics, which are people that have to support the leader. Then there's also sprinters, climbers, and time trial specialists in the team as well. So they really have to have a team of people who are good in all the different disciplines or good in one discipline to do well.
And I mean, in terms of the races, I
Mhm.
think almost everyone knows of the Tour de France, right? But like, I know it's not the only race. So, can you kind of tell us about the big main races that people should know about?
The Tour de France is definitely the most popular, but there are three grand tours that happen every year. So there's Tour de France, which is happening right now in July. There's Giro d'Italia, which just happened in May. And there's Vuelta España, which is in around August, September. So this is kind of in the warmer months in Europe, right? Which is they all take place. Now, each lasts 3 weeks and covers about 3,000 kilometers of riding. And every day is around 170 to 200 kilometer rides every day for 3 weeks. Pretty
That's hard
gruesome.
work. Yeah,
It's
jeez.
very hard work. And the goal is to get the lowest overall time. And that's called the general classification or the GC. That's what everyone is working towards. Now, when you win a Grand Tour, it's kind of like winning in Wimbledon in terms of tennis, right? Or F1 in terms of winning a race or even winning for the entire year. It's really, really big news and it proves that you're one of the best cyclists in the world. To show that, you actually get different jerseys. The Tour de France specifically, it's yellow. That was
Mhm.
general classification, but the Giro and Vuelta also have different ones. Giro is pink, Vuelta is red. But then there are other jerseys you can get. So green is for the best sprinter, and that's based off points. Polka dot is for the best climber, also based off points. And white is for the best young rider at the time. So there are other jerseys up for grabs. But all of the
Okay. It's
work
not
that
just
the
the yellow
teams are,
one.
it's not just the yellow one. It is very much about how to get everyone to work together.
And I mean, that's a really good segue because I kind of perceive cycling to be like an individual sport, right? You're by
Mm,
yourself on the bike. Like maybe
mhm.
there's someone helping you out, giving you a water bottle every now and then, right? But from
Yeah.
what you said earlier, it's a team sport. Like they're all kind of working together to support each other. So can you kind of explain how that works a little bit?
Yeah, so if you remember, I spoke about the domestiques who are there to support the leader, and you got time trials.
Hmm.
Now, there are 8 people in each team when it comes to a Grand Tour, and they all have different specialties, and that's because they all have to work together. And based off the strategy of the team, they work out how can they get their leader in front or how can they win a stage. Now, different teams are built different. So if you think, F1, one of our first episodes, all the different teams are different in terms of the funding they have, the car, etc. Similar principle. So you've got Team Visa by Lisa Bike, you've got UAE, you've got Ineos. They got the highest, they got a huge amount of money, some of the best riders. So obviously they're going for the grand, they're going for the win, right? And the general classification. Now, there are other teams as well that are really going for stage wins. And each team will have a leader that they're trying to drive towards winning that stage or winning that tour. Now, there are also different strategies that it gets used. So, whether that is things like they do a breakaway where they have to find some time in the race where they specifically try and get away from the immediate peloton, which is what the group's called, to try and win the overall race. They also can lead out, so they can lead out their leader to maybe get ahead or catch up with the leaders. They can also block, so they can prevent other teams from getting ahead. They can also attack people on climbs in terms of trying, when they think the other teams might be weak, trying to get ahead. There is a lot of strategy in this. It's a game of chess over 3 weeks. And what's wild is you've got all these athletes every day for 3 weeks just going full tilt. And then having to really try and work them and figure out the strengths of each of the people in your team and how to get them all to work in a symphony so that the leader can actually win in the end.
Amazing. I never knew about this. Speaking of riders and athletes, I mean, you said it a few times, these are all incredible people. I'm not going to lie, like probably the only cyclist I could name is Lance Armstrong, but I know he's not around anymore. Like, who are the kind of like the big players? Yeah. Who are like the big players? Who's coming up? Like, who should we be watching?
The big players. So you can't talk about big players right now unless you mention Tadej Pogačar. He is by far and away one of the most powerful, capable, absolute dominating cyclist. He is like, so he won the Tour several years ago and pretty much did it quite independent. Like, really, his team probably weren't able to even keep up to speed with him. That's how good he was. And he came out and won it, and won it again. He is extremely dominant, whether it's climbing, sprinting. He's just an absolute beast. He really is. And right now, when we're recording this, he's in the lead when it comes to Tour de France. So Tadej Pogačar, he rides for Team UAE, Team Emirates. What's wild is because he's obviously such an absolute talent, they've also gotten a team who are just a fantastic team of each individual rider is amazing. He's got, not only is he an amazing cyclist, but he's got a huge team that support him that are also fantastic in their own right. Then you've got Jonas Vingegaard. So Jonas Vingegaard, he rides for Team Lisa Bike. He is also an amazing climber, an amazing rider. He won the Tour de France twice, but right now he's getting challenged. But what Jonas had, which was very a huge factor to him winning, was the Team Lisa Bike also has a lot of very strong riders. So it's not just about how good you are, it's also about the team that's there to support you. And then there's also Primoz Roglic, who's also extremely strong. He's moved to Red Bull. He's a Vuelta winner. He's very experienced. He's trying to actually win the Tour this year because that's the one he hasn't won. Also very strong. Now, in terms of people coming up, the main one I'd probably talk about is Remco Evenepoel. So he's an extremely explosive talent. He's won in time trials. He's won on the global stage, but he's still, fairly young in terms of like his career. There's a few others that you'll see in all the different teams, but what you'll find is a lot of these people will try and win, or even just winning one stage of the Tour de France is a career-changing win. It puts them on the map. It typically means that they can go into they might either, go to a different team, or they just will ultimately go to that next stage in their career. It's also important to note that there's also the female cyclists, and the female tour also happens at the same time. They do it for all the other tours. And there's a lot of really amazing ones like Demi Vollering and a few others that are coming up as well. It typically starts a couple of days after the male one, but it's also really good watching.
We like to finish with a question to get people thinking, like a question to impress maybe. So if you were speaking with a fellow professional cycling fan, like what kind of question would you ask them to get the conversation flowing?
Yeah, look, so there's a lot of questions you talk about at the coffee shop, right? The one that's probably the easiest conversation starter is Pogačar, or is also affectionately known as Poggy. He's just a dominant force. And right now he is really miles ahead of anyone else. Now, the question is, he is dominant and he's got an extremely strong team supporting him. So it's almost seen as like, okay, it's inevitable that he's going to win several more tours. However, several years ago, he really got challenged by Jonas Vingegaard, and using the team and being able to kind of come out of and come up and surprise him, they were able to win and then win again. There's other factors that were involved, but he has been taken off guard before. And there has been in stages where he's kind of been surprised because there's stronger riders in that specific stage, better climbers, or just people who essentially just want to prove themselves. So it's, do we think that there's going to be someone that's kind of woodwork? Do we think Remco Evenepoel is going to really build up his chops over the next couple of years as a really strong rider? Or do we think there's going to be a point where Poggy actually cracks? You never know.
Fair enough. Thanks so much for this overview, Roger. I found it super interesting. I personally didn't know much at all about road cycling, so this was really cool. And thanks also to our listeners for joining us in this episode and excursion into the world of road cycling. If you like this, please leave us a comment. Let us know what topics we should cover next.